Hey everyone, today we're going to talk about the 80s. It's book 9 in the superhero stamp series. First thing it talks about is the Iran hostages. I confess, didn't know very much about this, but it's when college students from Iran stormed the embassy and held, I think it says more than 70 people were held hostage for 444 days. They tried negotiations. President Jimmy Carter sent in a team, but it failed to try to retrieve them. And that is the main reason people say he lost the election, because on election day, these people were still being held hostage. And that's why people say that he lost the election to Ronald Reagan. And basically the yellow ribbon is because throughout the ordeal, people were showing their support, saying they didn't forget these people. They didn't forget them by tying a yellow ribbon, like around their tree, around their pole, just as a symbol that, hey, we're with you. We're here. We remember. Okay, and this is talking about the shuttle. It's a reusable spacecraft instead of like the other like satellites that were just launched into space and they just stay there and collecting data and stuff. This would be reusable. They could reuse it. They would blast off and then they would land like a jet. And unfortunately, I don't know if you guys remember about the Challenger disaster where it took off from Cape Canaveral, and then like 73 seconds later it blew up, killing everyone that was aboard. I mean, such a tragedy. And like I don't even know or remember what they said the problem was or what happened. I mean, regardless of what happened, it was still a terrible thing. 3 years before that, Sally Ride actually was the first woman in space. And then next, talking about personal computers, it's so funny because computers, like we talked about in previous videos, they used to be like huge, like a whole room took up one computer, and now they're laptops. You can go anywhere with them. Our phones are like little computers. I mean, crazy. But I remember I remember having the box computer from the 80s. I think my dad still has it. He doesn't let go of stuff that much. But I remember thinking, oh my gosh, this is so cool, even though it was this huge box. I mean, I guess same with the TVs. You have the huge tube box for the TV, and now that it's just like a flat screen and it gets thinner and thinner all the time because technology keeps advancing. On this page, they're talking about Mount St. Helens erupted for the first time since 1857, like caused billions of dollars worth of damage, 60 deaths. Crazy. Alexandra Day O'Connor was elected to the Supreme Court, first woman. And everyone should know about this movie. If they don't, I'm shocked. I mean, even if you haven't seen it, I'm sure you know about it. It's such a pop culture reference that I don't know how anyone couldn't hear about it or know of it at least. And this is just talking about cable television became popular during the 80s. They came up with all these networks like Cartoon Network, Nickelodeon for Kids, HBO, CNN, Cinemax, TMC, Turner Classic Movies. Love that channel. Just all kinds of things, and it says, cable TV invasion of the couch potatoes, which is true. I mean, we spend, myself included, spend way too much time watching TV, trying to escape our lives. At least that's why I do it. Vietnam War Memorial. Apparently, these people, a group of veterans, raised $8.4 million in contributions to help pay for it. And it's, it's in remembrance of the people who lost their lives. I know like we talked about in other videos, the Vietnam War was a controversial war. Not a lot of people supported it, but the people that gave their lives should still be supported. And that was the idea behind the wall. And it says that basically, maybe the mood it inspires is best summed up by an anonymous note left there. While most walls kept people apart, this is the wall that brought us together. I mean, it's pretty powerful stuff, and millions of people visit the wall every year to pay their respects. This is talking about how basically they first found out about AIDS, what it was. In 1985, Rock Hudson, movie star, died from it. They also discovered the Titanic, and that it was, torn in half. But despite that fact, it says it's still pretty, in pretty good shape. And then, oh yeah, I forgot to tell you, Catwoman is in this, basically because of this, Cats, the musical, by Andrew Lloyd Webber. It's like one of the longest running musicals ever. And now they're making that movie about it, like the major motion picture. And this guy, to me, he looks like Beast from the X-Men. I don't know if anyone else thinks that, but to me, he kind of does. Blue fur, the hair. Yeah. I mean, I've never seen Cats, but of course everyone knows that song, Memories. I mean, it's a huge song from there. But I've never seen it. I don't know if I'll go see the movie. I'll probably eventually watch it, but I probably won't see it in theaters. I don't know. And this is talking about video games. First started becoming huge in the 80s, and there were the arcades that had, you put quarters in and play the games. Those are still popular, I think. I mean, you have places like bowling alleys, Main Event, where you have the whole separate game section, arcade games. Those are always fun to play. I was talking about how Atari first released theirs in 1972. Basically had Pong and not like a huge amount of variety. And then, of course, like the arcade games were like Pac-Man. And then, the Atari also had Space Invaders and Asteroids. And 1986, Nintendo Entertainment System introduced Super Mario Brothers, which is still super popular today. My brother even named his dog after one of the villains in Super Mario Brothers, Wario. It's funny. Oh, Wario and Bowser, so two of them. And then Sega Genesis introduced the Game Boy in the late 80s. I remember having one of those. And then the CD, woohoo! It's talking about how instead of, it's much smaller and more compact than the vinyl record. And although it says, and unlike vinyl records, since there was no contact between the player and the disc, CDs could last indefinitely. That is not true. Because once they get smudged or they get scratched, then they'll start to skip or get ruined. One time I actually pulled a CD out of the case and accidentally broke it in half. I was pretty irritated with myself. So they're not indestructible. They can't last forever, but they definitely probably lasted longer than vinyl. And we have the Cabbage Patch Kids. That was a huge craze, like, at the time. I mean, I think my mom still has one in her closet. Nowadays, not very many. Like, it's not a big deal. Oh, and the Cosby Show. Oh, you have to remember, these comic books were made in 1998, so this was before the whole Bill Cosby controversy. I mean, I feel sorry for the other people that are on that show, because now, like, that show has been pulled off. Like, it's not in syndication. It just, there's like a black spot on it now. Like, you can't be like, oh, I love the Cosby Show, without someone being like, really, after what he did? I mean, the show itself was good. I mean, and it was funny, and it was representative of a different culture. I mean, not many African Americans were represented in TV at the time, and they had their own that had the show. And now, like, because of what he did, there's like a blight on it, like a black spot. It's terrible. Speaking of African Americans, hip hop culture, me being white and can't dance, I don't know very much about hip hop. But like, I like to watch movies like about breakdancing or dancing, like Step Up. It's really cool that they can do all that stuff. Like, I cannot dance. I cannot, yeah, it's pretty sad. Like, I can't carry a tune either. So, but this is like the where DJs and MCs and came into being, and using mixing boards, which actually were developed during the disco era. And then we have the San Francisco 49ers, who are apparently the dominant team of the 80s. And then we have figure skating, which seems like a random thing. I mean, I like figure skating, though. I mean, this is talking about like the 80s, Scott Hamilton. He was able to do, like, he was one of the first guys that did the backwards flips on skates. It was really cool. Like, I remember seeing that, like, in one of his later Olympic appearances. And Brian Boitano, like, he was a very popular skater. But the girl skater that was the most popular, that was Katarina Witt. I don't know what that was. It was a piece of fuzz, sorry. And she wasn't even American. I mean, she was East German, but she, like, I remember her too. She was super popular, and she was just like, a super nice person, and just very, very pretty, very personable, and just very humble, which is important. A lot of people. Oh, Berlin Wall. They put the wall up to separate, like, East Germany and West Germany, so that, Germany couldn't gain, its former power as it did in World War II. Unfortunately, though, like, East Germany was communist, and so they made up this wall to put up the wall so they couldn't escape. So they had to stay there. I mean, which is pretty sad. I mean, yeah. I mean, it's pretty sad that you have to, like, put up a wall to keep people in your country when they don't want to be there. I mean, and yeah, it's pretty sad that you have to. And also, like, East Berlin wanted to keep out, like, the Western influence that was in West Berlin, and that's also part of it, because, like, a lot of Western powers had stayed behind to try to keep a foothold in there and claim their dominance. President Reagan even told the president to, Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall, and it didn't happen until like 28 years later. So it was a huge deal. I mean, today the wall's gone, but there's still, like, remnants of it. So our next one is the 90s. Last one. I hope you'll join me. Till next time. Bye.